with hard bodies, chasing Spanish. And at the moment, that's probably the best thing to do, by the way. I get them on baits as well, but until you understand the positioning of the reef and the bait and the structure that you're going to fish, hard bodies is the go, because you can zoom around and cover a fair bit of ground and see where the bait is, see where the mackerel's stacked, and understand how to then go back and present baits to them. Does that make sense? And we find that every year, it's now that they really go hard on the lures. And then as time progresses, they are late this year too, by the way. They're normally here a month ago, but they're just starting. But by about normally around about mid-February, which is probably mid-March this year, we start to see them switching across to baits from lures. And then they'll switch to live baits from dead baits. Okay, does that make sense? Don't ask why it works, that's just the way it is. The other thing too about mackerel is it's really weird. They bypass all the spots they're going to be in about 2 months' time and go straight down Tweed and Palmy first. Just the way it is. You get the odd ones out the front here, but they're predominantly down that way. So everyone that's hitting Tweed at the moment is doing really well. Anyone here from Tweed Heads, Sarah? And you getting a couple down there? Yeah. Well, we'll be bombarding you on the 1st of February. So remember, there's a closure on Spanish mackerel. Okay, it's the 1st of February to the 21st, and then it reopens on the 22nd, and you've only got a 6-day period or 7-day period. So it then closes again on the 1st of March to the 21st of March. So if we get crap weather in that 6 or 7 days, then they've just had a 7-day holiday for us. Or 7-week holiday, sorry. 7-week holiday. So hopefully that weather pans out really nice in between. So it's like for roulette, but you hopefully get it. So getting back to where they progress. So by the time the closure, before the closure, you guys need to hit Palmy gravel patch and maybe try Southboardy or up at the blocks. Okay, has anyone fished up that area, the blocks or off the jumping pin area? It's pretty good. Okay, it's a lot less people, and it's just a little bit of run up there. It's similar going down to Palmy, I guess, about 25k run or 20k run. There are green zones that way though, so you've got to be really careful. And when the spotties are on, and Spanish, it's very daunting going through that green zone because there's fish jumping out of the water and all around you, but you just cannot fish it, okay? And it goes out to about 30 metres deep or 35 metres deep. So when you're cruising up to the pin to fish the pin area, you're just waving to fish all the way up. Massive schools. Come April or May, when the spotties are in pretty hard and it's all happening, there's probably, you would pass 20 football field size schools of spotties and Spanish on the way through it. And there's an app called Fishing 2.0. Put that on your phone. It's a government app. Has anyone used that at all yet? It is a good app. So I suggest you do it if you haven't got it. It tells you if you're in the green zone or not. And it doesn't work on download, it works on satellite. So that even if you haven't got download, any coverage, you still got satellite. And it tells you exactly where you are. And that's what we use all the time. So we think we're past the zone, but we check and we're still inside the zone. There's fish all around us. Okay, so as I said, as time progresses on, the mackerel switch to live bait at the end. Okay, around about sort of March, April, we're trolling liveys, we're trolling deep. So at the start, we're trolling deep divers in the hard bodies, like so, which I'll talk about in a moment. And then after that, we're trolling baits. They get down a little bit deep, maybe 3 to 6 metres or 8 metres, depending on the sinker. And then we'll start trolling liveys with real slow lead line, which means like a 8-ounce barrel sinker or 2 8-ounce barrel sinkers or a downrigger to get it down deep. The fish are generally, if you're out in that sort of, the Spanish sit in 2 zones. They sit in on the 18 fathom reef, which is about 33 metres deep. They sit at about 18 metres down. That's the happy area. So between 18 and maybe 20. So we need to get our lines down near that vicinity. They will come up about 10 metres or so, but they won't come up to the top when they're down, stacked down low. And then we're at the 24 fathom reef, which is the diamond reef, which really works well later in the season. They'll be stacked at about around 28 metres in 40 metres deep or 42 metres deep. So they're like 2/3 the way down to 3/4 the way down. Does that make sense? And if you look at my sounder, you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, so you got to work out, okay, what lure do I use? Do I use a shallow diving lure? No, you don't. Shallow diving lures are not going to catch many mackerel. You need deep diving. You need 6 to 8 or 10 metres, or even 12 metres. And you need to concentrate on getting the right size lure and the right depth. In saying that, we do get customers that come in here that show me a photo of big mackerel, and I've caught it on a shallow diver. And I scratch my head, but predominantly it's caught on deep divers. Okay, so the gear we're using for trawling can be anything from a short little spin rod in about an 8,000 size reel to a like a TLD combos, which you probably might have, something like that. 15 kilo or 24 kilo line, 5'6", and they work really, really well. The little toriums, probably I love using a bit lighter gear. They work well though. But something in this category here, which is like a jig rod / everything rod, like that type of thing there. Okay. A bit lighter, a bit nicer. And fishing with braid. If you're fishing with braid though, folks, you've got to use about, around about probably 6 metres of about 60 to 80 pound leader. So you can get a bit of stretch in the line, and also grab it when you get close to the boat to gaff it. When you're trolling deep diving and something like this, it is quite light, so it'll probably be about there and bouncing like so when you're trolling it. Okay. On the other fellows, you obviously can't really use something like a spin rod because it's going to be bent too much. And with this type of fellow here, it'll be probably sitting at about that position there, working. So you'll see the tip working. When it stops, you've got weed on there. So remember that. Don't keep trolling along. Half the time people do, and they pull the lines in 2 hours later, and it's just full of weed on the lure. So make sure you check your lures. It has to be doing that sort of thing. Set your drag. Very important to set your drag. So grab it. You must learn to know which is the right drag tension. So meaning by that is, if you've got a set of scales, it's around about 5 kilos or 4 kilos. If you haven't got a set of scales, just sort of grab it and pull tight. Okay, I know everyone's got different strengths, but you feel that feel, and that's about 4 or 5 kilos if you get it right. So practice until you know how that feels, and that's your setting all the time. That's if you've got a lever drag. If you've got a star drag, just crank the star up until it feels the same as that. Okay, the beauty of the lever drag is you can't over tighten it, but the disadvantage is if you get a fish close to the boat, you pull the lever back too quick, in stress or a hurry or whatever, or you get a mate that's new on the boat, it's going to be tangled, so you've got a free spool. So set your drag right. Leader, yeah, as I said, 60, 80 pounds, 40 minimum, but 60, 80 is good. As I said, around about 4 to 6 metres. Wind on leaders are fine. 80 to 100 pound is probably about the max you'd use, but they're fine. Snap swivels, use about a size 4 or size 5 ball bearing snap swivel on the end of your leader. And I attach it directly to my hard body. Look, we do sell wire traces, and you can use wire traces, but unless the fish are really thick, I wouldn't recommend it. You're getting a lot more fish bites on direct to the lure. I know we've got a tackle shop, and it's good for lure sales, but for you guys and for me when I'm fishing, it is the only way to go. So you get probably, I reckon, twice more bites running it directly to the line directly to the lure. And 60 pounds is a really good size I like to use. And I find that I might lose maybe 3 or 4 lures in the season out of, say, 15 trips trolling. And the reason is probably sort of more wahoo. I think I've ever lost one to a Spanish. Or a shark snaps me off or something like that. Okay, does that all make sense? Good. Okay, so the lures. Look, at the smaller size, we've got a few guys that do use little pales or that type of thing, right? And they do quite well too, by the way, but they're trawling a bit faster. They're trawling at about 6 to 8 knots or even 9 knots, dropping the line back a lot further, maybe 60 metres with that. And you'll get spotties on there too, but Spanish sometimes want a small bait. If you have to have one lure in the boat, it's probably that one that's small to trawl. And the little X-Wrap with that style there also will work, but the problem is they won't trawl as fast as that one. The beauty of this one though goes deeper. This goes down about 4 to 6 metres, it'll go down about 2. Okay. Next size up, you're talking like, this is Samakis, that fellow there. Actually, I'll pass this around. There is a basket note at the end corner there, so if it goes whichever way it goes, hopefully it works out right for you. Just throw it in the basket if you don't mind, mate. Thank you. So this is a samaki, which is also a little bit bigger than that lure there. We call it like a 14 centimetre lure. And they do get down around about 6 to 8 metres as well. And they've got good harbour on them, and they've got a big bib at the front. So do you all understand how a lure works with a bib? Does everyone understand deep from shallow? I'll quickly show you, just in case you don't know. So if this is a, sorry guys behind me, if this is the head of the lure, and the bib is like that and small, that's a shallow diver, okay? And the more that bib goes this way, the shallower that it goes, okay? If you got a bib that's like this sort of shape and nearly horizontal with the lure, that's going to go down really deep. Does that make sense? Yep. So the smaller the bib, the shallower it is, the more it's positioned out, the deeper it is. Okay. Some lures are pulled from the top of the bib, and some are pulled from the head, but they're all strong. Okay. The next size up we're talking is like just while I'm in that smaller size, a couple of good lures. Rapala have now released a new range of colours in their lures, and the purples are really good. Purples are really good lures, colour for mackerel, Spanish especially. I've used these venoms; they're really good as well. They get down really deep. Huge bib on the front. I'll pass that around too. Thank you. The next size up, which is probably our biggest seller size, is like the Helco 190 deeps, okay? They do a crazy deep, they do a shallow, a deep, and a crazy deep. So the shallows are out of the question, we don't need that. They do up north, but not down here. The deeps get down around about 3 to 4 metres, which is that fellow. And then the crazy deep has the same bib, but the bibs actually goes more surface area. So the more skinny the bib, also the shallower it goes. The more wider it is and bigger, the more pull gets on and gets pulled down deeper. So that's a deep, sorry. And then a crazy deep is that fellow there. I'll pass both these around, you can see the difference. And the bib, that's a crazy deep. Yeah, sorry.
So we troll on these around 7 knots?
Correct, yeah, so 6 to 8 knots.
Crazy deep ones?
Yep. Yep, so the crazy deep ones and a lot of deep lures do blow out of the water at about 7 or 8 knots, where the smaller bib will go a bit faster, right? Yeah. But the problem is that you can't get, if you go too slow, you can't get down there enough, and they're just down that bit deeper. So you have to take the punt on it. And if you get one that keeps blowing out, it's probably, and the others are all hanging in there, unless it's a crappy brown one, it's just probably maybe faulty, or your line's a bit heavy on it, and the line's pulling it out of the water.
Oh, right.
Yeah, sometimes if the line's too heavy, your trace is too heavy. That doesn't really work too good. So a 60-pound line, mono, is a really good size to get any lure to do what it wants to do. It controls the line, not the line controls it.
All right.
Yeah, does that make sense? Yeah. Colours, there's one coming around now in the standard deep in the Helco called King Brown, and it's probably one of our best-selling colours. For me, I love purples and I love orange colours. So orange is just a really good worker. I don't know what it is, but it works really well. And we do sell greens and stuff like that as well. These fellows, that's a fusy colour. These are actually a really good brand too. But that's a, whatever it is in the Helco, but that's a crazy deep in the slightly smaller size. Look. Again, you can see the bib's really big and flat. Then you jump up into this size, which is like this, the Strata Pro, which is a big seller for us, or the new bigger Rapala. These fellows here get down around about 10 to 12 metres. They get right down. And they hang in there up to 10 knots. They're one of the only lures that's got a huge bib that actually hangs in there.
So did you say 7 knots?
6 to 7 knots. Again, I'm always contradicting myself, but many, many times, like I try and, when I hook up right, and you're doing 6 or 7 knots, you dump a lot of line. By the time you slow down, you can't stop straight away, you gotta slow down slowly, but You dump a fair bit of line if you take the chance of getting a second hook up, but mackerel are generally schooled up. So I constantly troll at about another probably 200 metres with my line ripping out at that still 7 knots. And I'll dump 60 or 80 metres more, which means a bit harder to get the mackerel in. The only time I won't do that, if I've been sharked too many times, I won't take that chance. I'll pull the boat, slow down and get straight into it. But if you can, and in most cases, try and just go a little bit further with that other fish hooked up and hopefully get a second strike. If you're on your own, just slow down straight away. It's too hard. Second thing is, as I was saying before, contradicting myself, many times I've been hooked up and I'm playing a fish in, I've just got the little out of the way, it's over there, way at the back, my fish is over here, whatever, and I take the chance. I'm just doing 2 knots in forward, so I never ever stop the boat when I hook a fish up. I keep it going forward. You must do that too, or you jet ski. When I'm fighting that fish and I'm just doing this 1 or 2 knots, quite often my other rod will take off again, even though the lure's just kicking along really slow. The mackerel's grabbed it. Complete opposite of what I'm saying. So it's on the surface. It's like just that deep below the surface, and I'm doing 1 or 2 knots instead of 6 or 7.
I'll follow up your own boat or you try.
Yeah. So good question. So I'll just quickly draw that. So if you are, just say that this is the boat here, and the first the 2 short corners of the rod holes at the corners of your boat, and the ones that are straight out the back, like face straight that way. Your next 2 out are going to be the ones that are on the side here, generally on a slight angle, and they'll sit on like that angle. This one will be straight at the back, and on that angle. If you have a ski, I guess, and you've got your little rocket launcher thing in the back here, your little esky, you'll probably have maybe 1 hole at the front here, preferably that's on an angle, and then straight at the back in the. So you'd probably only be able to troll 3, I guess, or 2. But whatever you choose to do, the deepest lure that you have, probably the darkest colour, is going to be the short corner here. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So your biggest lure, deepest lure, darkest lure. The next one, so it's going to be around about probably, you drop it back about 20 metres, but it'll end up coming down to about 12 metres behind the boat because it gets down on that angle, right? The next one's going to be back about around 30 metres, but it'll come down to, so it's going to be about 12. This one's going to be probably around about 20, 22 behind the boat. And then this fellow here is going to be probably not as deep a lure, or something slightly different, but probably not as deep. It's going to be back about 40 metres. And this one here, about 60, drops back a fair bit. The last one that's out, you want it out of the way if one of these guys here hook up. So I always drop it back, normally about 10 metres intervals, or 15, 12, 10 to 15. The last one I'll drop back like 20 or 25 metres further. Because that's the one I want to leave out there when I'm just idling. And it's out of the way of most things. And most of the time you can control the fish within that 200-foot perimeter of your boat. Make sense? So if this guy hooks up, or this one here, you might get your mate to pull this one in, but leave this one out if you can. And hopefully, when you're fighting it, you can take it under or over. You will have to do a bit of stitching, pulling the rods around here, there and everywhere. Does that make sense?
So did you say the further back, shallow a little?
Yeah, correct.
This way.
Correct, yeah. Yeah. So look, if there's wahoo around, we'll actually on this one here, we'll throw a metal head skirt on wire. Yeah. So with deep divers, it's pretty important that you get the lure to swim straight. If you have one wild child where one just goes a bit off, he's going to the left all the time, it's going to wipe out these other guys. Okay, so you want it to be sort of all hanging in there, all the same speed. If you have to slow down just a tiny bit because one's bad, you've got other lures, then maybe just slow down a tiny bit, or get it out of the water, because otherwise it's too hard. Okay. Any questions on that at all? Okay. Then we go into the big bad boys, which are the bigger size in the Samaki, which is this one here. These guys do get down about 10 or 12 metres, round about. These are about 180 to 200 mil long, 230 even. This fella here you could put right at the back. So this gets down only about 3 to 4 metres, but it'll trawl at about 10 or 12 knots, this fella too. That's a blue water one. And there's a new Helco out, this big bad boy here. So it's at 210, and it goes down minimum 9 metres. So it gets down about 9 to 12 metres, depending on your line. Yeah, they're good too. Do you need rattles in lures? Like, it's not a necessity. Don't worry about it. If it doesn't have a rattle, it's fine. It still works. Okay, any questions on that at all?
What
Yep.
sort of decides what size lure you run? Is it just you keep going
It's the
down
depth more than anything. The depth more than anything. And the bigger they are, the closer they are. And the smaller they are, the out the back further.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the bigger ones always get down deeper than the little ones. Because the bibs normally bigger. Yeah, so run them shorter.
So just to clarify, the lures and everything is more for now, around this
100%.
time,
Yep.
and then around, you said around May.
So lures are now, and can be the whole time through though, you'll still catch them on lures later too. But they seem to favour baits at any time in the next 3 to 6 weeks.
Right.
Even right now probably.
And baits, also try and drop them down lower?
Yeah, we do, but we're trolling at 1 knot to 2 knots,
Yeah.
which I'll talk about in a moment. But
Okay.
yeah, so very slow,
Okay.
and that allows it to get down deeper. Yeah, the faster you go, the lures get pulled up, but because they've got bibs on it, they work against it and pull themselves down again.
Doug, is Tiagra 30 wides too big to be?
No, perfect.
Even
Yeah,
with
16 to-
150 pound vinyl in front of it?
How big, mate?
150.
Yeah, 150 is getting a bit heavy.
Yeah.
Look at
Will
the-
that-
if
will
it-
that make drag and make it shallow?
Yeah, I just switch your have you got braid or one on there?
No, I'm on at 24 kg.
Yeah, that's fine. So just switch it to about an 80-pound wide on.
Right.
Yep, that'll be fine.
And the big
Yeah.
swivel tips on the end still right?
Yeah, size 4 or 5. It's a fairly small size. Yep, quite small. Yep, that'll be good. But yeah, 150 will drag it up too high.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's too long. Yeah, too long. Okay, so we've got our lures, we've got our lot, we worked out where we're going to go. The only thing we don't know is where the mackerel are. So where are the mackerel? So, look, if I was from Tweed Heads area, I'd be definitely fishing the 9 Mile Reef or similar area, Mudhole or Fidos or whatever. If I was in Queensland, I think it's a bit early yet for out on the Diamond Reef. I'd be hitting it more in closer, focusing on maybe palmy or mermaid or the gravel patch, and even maybe up at the blocks. Maybe give that a go. Does everyone know where the blocks are? I'll go through the GPS marks a bit later, but it'll list it down a bit later. But that's the area you want to concentrate on. And if you drop your lures out like I've told you and sit on about 6 or 7 knots, and understand if it's windy at the moment, which it is, and the swell's a bit big, so be careful of the bar, the seaway. But you can trawl in like 15 to 20 knots. I've caught many Spanish mackerel in 20, 25 knots. As long as you know your sea and the weather, they don't stop biting, they keep biting. It's just uncomfortable. And the hard part is you've got to turn around sometime or another and troll into it, which is wet. I wish we could just go like that and go into the port and come back up the Broadwood and go back out again, but it doesn't work that way. I would suggest that under 15 knots is better, obviously, and when you are fishing trawling with the wind, you might just want to. I'd actually even bother sounding over, especially if no boats out there. I will not sound it over to see where the bait is. I'd rather put some lures out first and then sound it over to see where the bait is and hopefully get a strike while I'm doing it. Because I believe once you've been over it and the sound's going dun 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 dun, they may get a little bit quiet or switch off a little bit. But if you've got lures fresh out and you're going over their ground first time, you've got a lot better chance of catching one. So remember that. So as soon as you get there, chuck the lures out. But what I would suggest doing is, if the reef was like, say we're off Mermaid, right, for example, that's Burley, and yeah, Miami's here, sort of thing, and you got the pine trees here at sorry, other side, this way. Got the broadbridge is here, got the pine trees here, which is in front of Mermaid, and the reef sort of, in rough size, it's about probably that sort of size, okay? And the shark net's just right here. Does that make sense? Is that Mermaid Beach Reef? So what I do, if I was going to do Mermaid, I'm going to go, and it's blowing southeast at about 12 to 15 knots and slightly white capped. Okay, so I'm going to bash my way against it. I'm not going to put my lures in here and troll into it straight up, because it's not as nice for your sounder reading. It's a lot better sounder reading, fish finder reading if you're going with it. So you can see the fish better, you can see the bait better, and not getting as much interference. But if you go into it and you're trying to see where the fish are, where the bait is and that, and you're getting all this scrabbly crap as well, it's quite hard, it's quite difficult, and it's a good sounder. So I go up to here, probably around here somewhere, and then I deploy my lines out behind the boat. And then I troll down the outside edge first, down to my most northern mark. So that's north, okay? That's south.
How deep's the outside edge?
About 20, 26 metres maybe, something. Inside's about 18 or something like that. But I've trolled down the south side edge. So once as you're going along, and you sort of, it's like, where is the outside edge? You don't know until you've got it marked on your sounder, but you will work it out. So it'll be like a little bit rough, going up bait on there, whatever. And then if you've got flat bottom, then obviously you've gone past it. You've got to come back in this way a bit more. So mark where the fish are, right? I love this area here of Mermaid, by the way. It's one of my favourite areas, as in here too. So I'll do that first, and then instead of going back up into it, I'll go across this way then. It's probably about 500 or 600 metres wide. So I'll then troll this way. Because I've got my line set up right and my lure set out 12 metres apart, and I do this, not too sharp a turn, but a bit of a turn, nothing's going to tangle up. Okay, so then I'll get to here, I'll maybe mark something there, and then I'll get to that corner that I've got marked there last time. I'll go to that, and then I'll come down this side here, and I really like probably from here to here on that inside edge of Mermaid. I don't know if you've used a fish that before, but if you haven't, you should. It's a really good area, especially flow lining. But anyhow, I'll troll down there. If I haven't marked much on there, I'll do a run. There's quite a few good spots in this area here. So I'll do a run up the centre then, and see how I go. If I saw fish there, I've maybe got a little bit of a ring over here somewhere. I'll go back around again and do another run down that side again. And that's how I sort of work the reef, trolling the hard bodies. That make sense? Okay.
Would that be all reefs, maybe?
All reefs, yeah, all reefs. You need to know the top, the bottom, the left, the right, the west, north, and east, and what's in between. Any pinnacles or any areas that hold bait. So whilst this is happening, my sound is looking a bit like this. Sorry about the tripod one again, but that's the screen there, sort of thing, my sounder. Sounds like that. If I've got GPS on one side, and this side over here, I've got zoomed in on this side, and that's the bottom here. So this area here, I've got marked like so. Like I've fished it before, and I've got those marks on my screen. So that's like dum dum dum, which is dum dum dum. Across the front here, down that side, and then in the middle. Then over on here, on this side here, let's just say I'm going up this side here, and there's a bit of bait normally there, a bit of a bump here, not much in between, and the same here. it'll look a bit like, so I've just gone over the spot here when I first started, come up a little bit like that, and then it's not much, and then this one here was up again, a bit taller, and this last one here might have been a nice one too, and then it sort of tapers off, and obviously the side here is just a little bit lower, but I've marked those 3 marks there. And how the mackerel look, I'll just actually change this a tiny bit, sorry. So let's just say, I don't know, can you guys see that down the back there at all? You sure? Yeah. Change the colour. So let's just say those 3 spots there on the bottom, really, so that's 0 to 30, 10, 20, and we're in 22 metres, say. So it looked like a bit like this. Like that, and there's a little bit of stuff on here. On those 3, on that mark, and that mark. But on this side over here, the zoomed up version, so now I'm looking between, say, 12 and 22 metres, say. So that's now like 10 metres, right? So, and you're seeing these have come up like 2 metres. So now the bottom will look a bit like this sort of thing. Like that, whatever it looks. But the fish will be stacked up like, sorry, no red. Yeah, the fish will be stacked up like what we saw there. You'll see the bait here, but they're lines. And why are they lines? Because you're only doing like 4 or 2 or 6 knots, whatever, it depends which way you're fishing. Rather than just being a dot, they appear longer and streaky. And mackerel are one of the only fishes that appear that way on the sounder. Has anyone ever noticed that at all? And if you have, I haven't, but. So over here, there might be a few mackerel up here too. There might have been a little bit of stuff up here as well. And they might be, you'll just get the bottom of that part there on here. They might be like that. And over here you might have a couple of mackerel as well. And they'll just be lines like that. And that's how you know they're mackerel. And the slower you're going, the more longer they are. Okay, they might just be a little bit shorter like that if you're doing 6 or 7 knots. But when you're doing 1 or 2 knots trolling baits, they become quite long.
Do you change your scroll speed on your sounder?
Look, I do when I go slower, I go a bit faster. When I go faster, I go slower, if that makes sense. But yeah, I don't really do much. No, just leave it. That's just that happy speed I like, no matter what I'm doing. I can sort of understand how it looks. Yeah. Everyone's sound is different, and if you're not getting a good picture on the bottom, it's probably because your transducer is not mounted right on the bottom. So it's really important to have the transducer sort of half below the bottom of your boat and half above the bottom of your boat, depending on the angle of your boat. Does that make sense? And if you've got it above the bottom of the boat, it's not going to work very well at all. And if you've got it too far down, you'll get massive, you'll get air turbulence, that'll be, it won't look very good as well. So it needs to be that happy medium. Okay, so any questions on the lures?
One question. With
Yes.
regards to most of them had trebles except for one had singles on it.
Yes.
Do you have a preference, or do you think?
Yeah, I hate
trebles
singles.
better hook up, or
I don't like singles.
you don't like
No.
singles? Yeah.
I don't know. Look, on that big lure, I might leave them on there, but I'd probably switch them to trebles.
Yeah.
Probably 5O's, like a decent size.
Yeah.
It may make that lure not swim as good. That's why they've probably done it. It's only brand new, so
Yeah, okay.
I haven't trolled it yet, so I can't say. But sometimes if you change hooks on lures, they don't like it. And yeah, that's in all fishing, by the way. So you just got to practice, play around. Okay, so I'm going to switch to baits because I won't do the landing and fighting part until we get to the bait section. Is that all right? So everyone's happy with the hard bodies? Yeah, cool. Okay. Next one is the baits. So look, in bait rigs, there's so many different rigs for Spanish. We're talking Spanish mackerel at the moment. But one of my favourites is what we call the woghead. That's just the terminology. But this is the thing here. They're very popular up in North Queensland, and they work just extremely well. So it's this sort of fellow, okay, and under here is the important part. So a lot of lead head or metal type lures at the back have got a little tiny hole where your line comes out. You need to have a massive hole. And the reason why I have a massive hole, because you need to get your gar spring up inside. Or this is springs, that's the spring we use for rigging up baits. Now I'm going to pass this around rigged up. So one will be rigged up, one won't be. You can see how it sort of sits in there. Does that make sense? So that little spring there, that little thing there, if I wasn't using this skirt on the top, these are really good by the way, that would be sitting up, slotted up inside the back of this. So I'll pass this around, you'll get the gist of it. But we'll rig up this one here. So how it works is the trace is very short. You only need a bite trace. A wahoo have a long stout, mackerel are still fairly long, but not as long as a wahoo, but that's plenty enough for him to, even if it's around his mouth like so, he's not going to bite it off. Does that make sense? But something else might bite him off, like a shark or whatever. And we use about 58 to about 105 pound wire for Spanish. So that's the sort of size on it's got to be single strand when you're doing this type of rig. With any of the nose cone, this thing here has to be single strand. I know you can't see it down the back, but there's a little bit of wire sticking up there, which is the end of the Haywire twist. We leave that up, and that goes. That allows this little cone here to. It's got a little divider thing on it, and it sort of just works its way. That splits down halfway down the cone, and you just keep tightening up on the fish's head until it can't go anymore, and that's locked it all in position, ready to go. You then pull the skirt down, get the cone up inside of it, face it the right way up, and if you want, you can just put a skirt over the top of the spike, just to hold it all in place. But you don't have to do that. But you've got to rig up the bait first. So this is the bait here. The length of that spike determines where you start your first hook. Okay, so we're going to put in the gar in a minute. Whatever it is, that's where you start. If it doesn't go in, it's too long, the rig's too long, you just let the bottom hook swing. Doesn't make any difference, still works fine. So, which is the bigger gar? I don't need big gar, we can't get big gar at the moment. There's not gar time yet for another month. So with the gar, a few things you need to do. Do you want to get real technical? There's a stuff called blue. I don't know if you can still get it now. I've still got some from years ago, believe it or not, but it's a stuff you put in fabric to brighten it up a bit better. It's called blue. And you put it in the water when you defrost your gar, and you can do it before you go out and actually pre-rig everything, as long as it's not too cold, as long as it's still cold and not too hot. And then you cryovac it and put it back in the freezer, ready to go on the rig. So you just drop them out, right? But when you put the stuff in the blue, every little scale has a little blue, like a lure, a little blue indentation around it. They look so good. Okay, so it's called blue. It's in a blue bottle like this. You just put a capful into your water and put the garfish in there. All the pros do it, or most of the pros do it. Okay. Second thing you got to do is with your gar is you just put your finger down here on this upside down the bum side of it, and squeeze down and pop out his poo. Okay, just push down like that, all the way down to there. You've got to pop that out. Next thing you do, this is when it's defrosted, is you turn him over that and see where the little line is. That's designed. I'll put on there so you guys can push on it. So you just push it like that. Okay, push it, push it, push it, and work your way down, and that makes it a lot more softer. It pops his flesh off his backbone, sort of thing, and makes it a lot softer. And then he'll do his thing much better. The next thing we do is we work out where that pin's going to go through. Now these hooks are way too big for this size gar, so I'm a little gar. So we're going to start on the second hook. I might even take that last hook off actually. But my pin is going to go up sort of roughly about where his front of his eyeballs pretty well, so to speak. Okay, so his eyeballs are there, the pin's right there in front of it. And my first hook I can see is going to start about here. Okay, so back hook swing. So I put that in there like so, Oh, I'm going to put my glasses on, so I don't want to look bad when it comes around to you guys. Sorry, the scales on my glasses. Okay, so this one goes in first. When you put it in, try and keep it centre, and just pop it in. Second one, pop it in. Push that up a bit. And then this one here goes through his head and pops out the top of him. Does that make sense? Okay. Then this here slides down, goes over his head, and just there's a little guide on there, and you screw that up on his head. And now it's getting tight, so that's pretty well about it. That's it. It's a very small gar for this size hook, so I wouldn't use normally the size, but that's all the gar I can get tonight, sorry. And then this one here comes down, goes over the cone, like I said before. Just line up the colours. Oops. And then just pop that bit of wire through this plastic skirt. Sorry guys. You can actually bend that forward, bend the that forward, poke it up inside as you're doing it. Don't stab yourself.
You gotta make sure the hooks are sharp.
Yeah, make sure the hooks are, yeah, that's true. That's true. And that's it. That's pretty well it. Okay, and that's it. So it's rigged up, ready to roll. When you put that in the water, it will do this sort of thing. You'll see it swim beside the boat. Okay, but if I was using that size gar, I'd probably down their size 7/0s. I'd drop that down to 5/0s because they're just way too big for that gar. Looks a bit skew with, but anyhow. And that's it. And that lead's going to pull it down quite deep at 1 or 2 knots, probably around about 4 to 6 metres, I'd say. So it's not very good with that sort of gar. Small rig here. I've got a smaller rig here, so I'll pass that around as well.
Yeah.
Sorry about the stench, but that's how it is. That's fishing, right?
That's right.
I'll sit it around, it'll give you some idea how it all works. You can see the rig. So these are designed for gar about double his size, or for pike, or for saris. Thank you. So I'm going to rig up. I think there's a smaller one here. Here we go. Same one's in your bag. This is going to be better. So it's the same one that's in your bag, okay?
Speaking of Dougie,
Yeah.
you didn't get a bag?
Oh, you didn't get a bag?
Nah.
Oh, there was one left over actually. Oh, is that one? That's it. Yeah, so I think my wife put it down there before. Sorry, mate.
We got
I was going to eat that later, but.
Yeah, tails.
Okay, so same deal again, guys. You're going to pop his poo out. I'm not going to do it too because it's too messy. Going to pop the backbone. I'll pop the meat off the backbone. That's it. Measure it out.
You check if the hooks are sharp. You test your own hooks for sharpness.
Yeah, the sharp hooks, don't worry about that.
Yeah. I usually use 5 minutes to do it. Go get the glass.
Where do you get the garfish from?
We sell these, but we normally have better ones. But the two bait people we buy off are both out of stock with better ones.
How do you run down like sort of Burley?
Oh yeah, look, I just buy them from maybe a like a seafood shop. You can try the guys at the back of Burley there. Harbour, whatever it's called. Sorry, this one a bit quicker, but I'll pass it around real quick. It's when you get good, it's very quick to bring your baits up, like seconds. But if you want to do it at home and pre-do them, it's fine.
None of the, you've left intentionally none of the hook barbs exposed, they're all just
Nah.
inside the bait.
They just rake it off. Those teeth just close down. You never miss. No.
I believe you.
Yeah, not much. So you can see this one looks much more neater, sits nicer because the hooks are smaller as it comes around. That one's a bit out of shape.
Is that the intensities on there?
That's it. That's stuff.
Fluoro?
Yeah, brightest colours. That's it. It is so good, mate. So good. Yeah. So just put 2 capfuls in. It's messy crap, but it's really good. Yeah. So you just put them in there, half defrosted, in salt water preferably, and then just let it sit overnight in the fridge if you want.
Just the garfish?
Yeah, just the garfish. Yeah, look, I've done saris in it, I've done pilchards in it, but you don't need to do that. It's more that sort of colour. They just look so good in water. Yeah. Any questions on that at all, folks? All good? Okay, so now we're going to troll the gar. So we've got our bait rigged up. Oh,
BLUO?
I was going to rig up one of these bad boys too.
Dougie, is gar the best? Would you say
Gar, I say gar's like, it's 8 out of 10. Yeah, look, the best is probably Taylor, but you can't use them under 35.
Yeah.
Makes it hard. Used to be the best. Got to be political. Look, like live bait's really good when it comes in later. Okay, you will catch them on live baits early as well, but not as good for some reason. Don't know. So at the moment, it's going to be hard body for the next, I don't know how long, few weeks.
So hard bodies till start of February type thing?
Yeah, pretty well. That's right, Ian. Yeah, it may be a bit after. And as I said, you'll still catch them on there. We got guys that only do hard body the whole time and still catch fish, you know. But when you'll switch to this type of gear pretty quick. Yeah.
Those loghead,
Yeah.
they're weighted, do you still use the lead?
No, you don't, mate. No, you don't, Anthony. You just use the wog head's 84 grams, which is 3 ounces, about a size 10 ball, say, or a bit bigger in weight. And they're the perfect weight. If you want to get down a bit deeper, sometimes they have weighted the first hook, but you don't need to. Yeah. So they're quite good. So 2 things you need to learn, folks, is to do a haywire twist. Does anyone here know how to do a haywire twist? A few of you do. That's good. So for your other ones, if you don't mind, to learn to do it. So you can jump online and see how to do it. But a lot of the times when you buy the wire, it does tell you on the back how to do it. This one doesn't, but so I think Superflex does. It shows you how to do it. YouTube's very good. So all you need, you can actually make up little jigs, but as long as a good little pair of needle nose pliers that can hold the wire while you twist it over the top. So the first, I'll actually do one now for you. Do you want me to do it? I know you can't see down the back, but if I explain how I'm doing, you can sort of get the gist of it. Time's going quick. Okay. We'll go to 105 pound, which is quite heavy. Okay, so let's just say I'm going to make up my rig. So I'll cut off about this length. This will be cheaper later. Oh, there's a little thing on the end to take off first. We'll actually make a rig up. That'll give you some idea how long it takes. So that's my piece of wire that long. What I do, I sacrifice about 60 mil of it, so the end's here, okay? And I'll bend that around, like so, and I'll make a little loop. So if you can't see down the back, it's about probably 6 or 8 mil long. You've got to come from under and then over, if that makes sense. So each time you do the twist, so once you've done that, hold it in the plier, like I said, long nose needle plier, and twist it and go under and over, and under and over, under and over, under and over, and finish off that one there straight. So that's the main one still straight. That's 90 degrees. So if you just go around the one, it can pull out on a really big fish. If you do it around each other like fence wire, I guess, it doesn't pull out. So once you get to that point, we then go up a bit higher up to closer to this end here again, and we just wrap it around the one because we've already done the locking position at the start. And just go round and round, maybe about, I don't know, 5 or 6 times. Is that wog head gone around down the back there? Does someone want to bring that up to me, if you don't mind? And then once we get to that position there, thanks a lot, buddy. We've got to, thanks, mate. we've got to break that off. And if we cut it off, it's going to get a burr on it. When we get this mackerel close to the boat and we go to grab it, it's going to be cut down our hand. So to do that, you can do a little crank handle, or you just go back and forward like so. Around about 5 or 6 times. This is normally when I get spiked and it hangs out the side of my finger. It does happen. It just pops off like that, and there's no burr there. I can go as hard as I want in there. Can't cut myself. Does that make sense? Okay. That's the first one. Then we're going to go into our hook rig. Now, I saw these the other day. I reckon these are really good. Just going to go a short one. I'm actually going to do the big one, aren't we? We'll go this bad boy. So these are new from Mustard. They're a brand new thing, and they weren't out last year, unfortunately. I wish they were, but I reckon these are going to smack the mackerel because they've just got the right look about them and the right everything, and they love that little bit of fling. So these are 7/0s Mustard hooks, like a 7/7/6, if you know what that is. Great hook. Now, because I normally bend the hooks up to it goes up deeper into the bait too, by the way, but because we're using swivels, we don't need to do that because the swivels allow us to get away from doing that, if that makes sense. What I'm saying there is, sorry guys, I just realised it's tied up. Great. So we're actually timing this, aren't we? But it doesn't normally take this long. Thanks, mate. Okay, so Jesus, magic. Okay, that's our rig. So because we've got swivels on there, that allows it to get further up inside the fish. If it's down there like that, it sort of falls down a bit. But if you bend this part here up, it does the job for you if you haven't got swivels on there. Does that make sense? So next thing I'm going to do with this one here is I'm going to put on a nose cone. So I've got to steal off this one here. Many packets of nose cones here. Oh, Miss Ucko. Perfect timing. Thank you. Oh, that's for the. Oh, it's not my dinner. No, okay. Sorry. That's about what I normally get to, by the way. And, do you mind to ask the guys for the regular size nose cone? These things here. Yeah. That little silver bit. Thank you. Just a packet, please. Okay, so I can't put anything on until I get that nose cone. Well, actually, I can put it at the end here. So on that end there, the reason why there's no swivel on there is because I'm going to put my snap swivel on there, okay? Does that make sense? If you want to put a swivel on there and tie a line directly, that's fine too, by the way. If you're going to do that, use a crane swivel. Keep it tiny though, probably size 5 or something like that. It's a size 8's too small. Anyhow, I haven't got one here, but I'll pass this around, but around about, that would be the maximum size you use, but 2 sizes down from that. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to put that cone on, and then I'm going to put this on first actually, and then put the cone on, and then I'm going to put the hooks on. And that's the rig done. Okay, it's very quick. Perfect, thank you. So you buy these cones in a little box like this, like I think so, 10 a packet for about $10.
And because that warhead's weighted, you don't need the sinker.
Correct, correct, as Anthony was saying before, that's right.
Yeah.
So you just goes straight on, it goes in there. Very popular up north by the pros, these things, as I was saying. Then this goes on here. Now these hooks are reversed, unfortunately they don't make them bigger than 7/0s, but it's sort of borderlining the smallest I've used on the big slimy there. But it's quite a big slimy, by the way. So again, I'm doing that first little loop, okay? And I'm getting under from underneath and doing that first twist. And then holding my pliers in that position. And then I'm going from, oops, watch these hooks, from under and over. And under and over. Under and over. And I'm going to finish off with that one straight, okay? 90 degrees is this one here. And then I'm just going to go round, round, round. Not too much, because I want to keep this relatively short to match my bait. And then I'm going to leave that sticking up. Now it has to be in line with the hook facing that way, right? So it goes through the fish right. So bend around, I'm 180 off here. That should be pretty close. So, oh, that's on a swivel, isn't it? Yeah, okay, there you go. Sorry guys. So that's it there now, like so. Now, I'm going to go my slimy here. I should have used that first rig on the slimy and this one on the gar. And it is what it is. Now with slimies, you don't need to do much at all. There's only one thing you can do if you want to do something, is you snap the tail at about this position here. Okay, just pop it. You'll feel it go click, click, like so. You hear it? You might have heard it, but it'll do a lot of that sort of thing. Otherwise it's stiff. Now it's quite soft. A bit more this way, but don't break the skin. Really important. Okay, measure it out again. So about through there, about 3. Actually, it's not too bad. You don't pop the flesh off these things because they're too soft in the flesh compared to a gar, and they'll get a bit ugly. This is going to catch a big Spanish. So we might give this one away tonight, someone. All the baits. No, the bait, so I might use it myself. Like that. Get the cone down. Now there is a bigger cone, I probably should have used a big one, but this one will work. That's about as bumps are going to go. And that goes then down. And when you put, has anyone ever used these wildcats before? You put in the water that this fish hair stuff folds back over it, over the fish. And when you put that there, just line it up. They've got eyes on them, so if you want to line up the eyes straight, that's up to you. But that's how it sits. So when that's being trawled, that little tail's going to go wobble, wobble. It's a great bait, and this will sort of become like that sort of fashion, if that makes sense, through the water. Okay, I'll better hold it that way, but however way it is. But it's just a really nice bait swimming, okay?
There's that's the slow speed.
Slow speed. All our baits are slow speed. Like I never do faster, unless I'm using maybe a reaper rig, but I never do faster than about 2 knots.
Okay.
And that's downhill. 1 knot, 0 knots, works really good. So I'll pass this around as well.
And what would you troll the reaper rig at?
Reaper I'm going to do next actually.
We're
Yeah.
trolling the baits about 2/3 down the column, water column.
So if you're going at like about, oops, yeah, just be careful of that 88. Do you want me to put it back on food? Actually, I might just pull his head back. Sorry, mate. Sorry, Ian, for 1 sec. Cheers, mate. I might just pull that. I'll put it on the plate a bit more even so it doesn't fall off again. That's all right. That's it. It's a bit half frozen too, by the way. If I put the head at that end of town, that won't fall off. So it gives you a better perspective. Sorry, mate. So, if I'm dropping my baits out, I drop my baits out a lot further than my lures. So I drop my longest ones out first. I should say about the lures before too. Your furthest out go out first. Your shortest go last.
All right.
Otherwise you get a wild child and you drop it out the back and it's ready to shoot up 2 of the other ones on the way through. So yeah, drop them out. So I dropped the first one at about probably 80 metres or 60 metres. You've got to be really careful in a palmy and mermaid because you've got guys that all of a sudden want to, instead of going that way, they go that way. Anyhow, but they'll chop your lines off.
Yep.
So run it about 80 metres if you can, the most furthest back, 60 metres, and then maybe 1 or 2 at 40. With baits, I troll about 3 because it just seems to work better. Falls a lot. So yeah, 80, 60, 40 sort of thing. So the closest one's a fair way back. But on my closest one, what I do, I'll run an 8-ounce barrel sinker up above the snap swivel. So has anyone ever tried that before? So it's sort of the lure, the bait sort of sits like that angle because the sinker's heavier, but it'll get your line down a long way. So I've done I use downriggers too, by the way, but not in this situation that we're talking about now. But If I'm using a downrigger though, and I'm trawling in 20, I've got my downrigger set 28 metres, and I'll deploy my bait back about 20 metres behind that, behind my downrigger ball, or 12 to 20 metres back behind it. So that bait's already down at 28 metres because I can set that with a big 10-pound ball or 12-pound ball. My next line, I'll put the one closest to that, I'll run 1 or 2 8-ounce barrel sinkers on it. And it's, so behind the boat, it's actually the best way to show you how it looks. If this is the back of the boat, motor, and that's the water line here, and this is the bottom here, right? So if I use a downrigger's here, and my rod's here and attached to it, that's sitting at, let's say that's 0 and that's 40, and I'm sitting at 28 metres, so it'll actually won't be as straight as that, it'll be about that angle, and it'll be at 28 metres down sort of thing. And my bait's sitting back about 12 metres behind that, swimming around. My next rod, which is over here, I've got an 8-ounce barrel sinker on it, which is, for those of you who don't know, it's on here somewhere. There it is. Oh, that's not it. Anyhow, it's a big sinker. It's a barrel sinker. It's quite big. But my line will be sitting at about that angle. So not quite as steep, but still quite steep. And then my barrel sinker will be sitting here, and my bait will be just normally flat or just above, I believe it's just above it, swimming along like so. And then my third line, which will be, say, the wog head, which is, so that's at about 40 metres out. I'm not necessarily about 28 metres because the downrigger. This is about 50 to 60 metres out, and my other one, whatever it is, will be on about that angle with the wog head on. It's probably down about 10 metres, which is still a good depth. That's 10. This one's at about 18. This one's at about 28. Does that make sense? And if you have a downrigger, the luxury of having a downrigger, and you drop the other lines out, you can see the angle behind the boat, how they vary, and you cover all spectrums of the water. And when you, whichever one's getting the most hits on, is the one that you want to try and switch all your lines to. What that may mean, on this one here, quite often I'll put 2 8-ounce barrel sinkers on. And next bit of my line's down in that zone there too. Does that make sense? It's down lower. But if this one here's going off, I'll take that, I'll get rid of those both 8-ounce sinkers and just run the lead on the hook or another wog head, whatever, and try and keep it in a similar vicinity. You've got to work out where the fish are biting. Simple as that. Okay, any questions on that at all? So how do we do it? Well, we go back to that position we had.
Question, Doug.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Sorry, do you bother with the downriggers at like the mermaid? Because it's only like
Look, inside of sort of, if I said it, 18 fathoms, which is around 33 metres, inside of there, not really. Outside of there, definitely. Yeah.
So the 24s are about.
24s are definitely good for downriggers.
So you wouldn't.
Not so
you
much
would
on
try
the.
not run a full
No,
squad
you
of divers
like
at the 24s.
if I hook up a fish and I'm doing like just 1 knot, trying to keep it in gear while I'm playing the fish in, my other lines sometimes get caught on the bottom, so they're already down there. They're down enough. Yeah, yeah. Especially if you're sitting against the wind or whatever. So that's another thing to say. When you hook a fish up, especially on a jet ski, you guys need to learn to. It's zeroing out and you're going into the wind. That's always the worst time to hook it up. Downwind's easy because you just keep going with the wind. But when you're going against the wind and you hook up, you need to try and do a little bit of a threat. Thanks, mate. The insert. You need to do a little bit of a wide arc around. Because fishing solo, it's pretty hard, right? You got to try and turn the boat or the ski. So you go with the wind. So go with the wind, and you're going with the wind. Does that make sense? Because if you're on your own or just 2 of you, it becomes a total big stuff up if you got more than 2 or 3 lines out, because if you go, the wind will actually overtake the boat and it'll actually push the boat around, or the ski, and you'll end up with a big tangle around your lines, and the fish that's on the line will get caught up in there as well. So you need to try and get the boat around so it's going downwind with the wind. Does that make sense? First thing you do actually when you hook up. So you slow down a little bit, but whilst you're slowing down, you're actually turning it the other way if you're going into the wind. You turn with the wind. If you're going with the wind and you hook up, just keep going, like I said before, that bit longer and try and get the second one on. Okay. So we got the fish on. What do we do? It's going, it's taking off and going hard. First thing you do is, if you need to bring another rod in, bring it in. We turn the boat around. We get the rod out of the rod holder. Look, I still have a habit of driving the hooks in harder when I get out of the rod holder. I just rip into it. And it comes out, but generally it stays in. And make sure it's well hooked. And then if they do a blitzstring run towards you, if it's well hooked, you're pretty well safe. But if it's just grabbed it and you haven't set those hooks that bit more, I believe you can fall out. If it's coming towards you, you're not keeping up to it. Does that make sense? Keep the rod tip up the whole time. Don't ever drop your rod tip unless you have to pump and it goes deep, which doesn't normally happen. They stay up the top. They'll go all over the joint. If you've got another boat coming towards you, besides it screaming at him, you just got to try and steer the fish as well if you can, or drive the boat over towards him and make sure the guy has to go the other way. Put him on the play chicken. Because that happens when you got a fish on a lot of the time. They don't know you got a fish on, maybe, I don't know. They're blind, but they come at you. Then when you get close to the boat, make sure you just drop the drag back a tiny bit. So if you've got a star drag, maybe just 1 turn or half a turn. So if it gets near the boat, it wants to go under the boat, which they do quite often, mackerel, he can do it without snapping a line or cutting off on the bottom of the boat. If you've got to leave a drag, just pop it back a couple of clicks. It'll be halfway back to the free spool. And as you get the fish close to the boat, 2 techniques. If you've got a leader on and you've got that short trace, you're not grabbing any wire, so it's not going to cut your hand. It's mono. If you can manhandle it closer to the boat if you're on your own, you'll need to put that in the rod holder. Maybe just give it a little bit more of a back thing so it can run out itself easy. If it takes off, you just let go of everything and it'll fight it out of the rod holder, and that'll save you losing it. But otherwise, put it in the rod holder. It's in the rod holder now, and the boat's slowly going forward with the wind, and I've grabbed my gaff, whichever it may be, and I just sort of, it's in the rod holder there. The fish is just there. I just grab it, and as I pull it in, I just go straight into the head area, straight into the boat, and not near your legs. Okay? Yeah, not near your legs. And yeah, they'll just stump around a little bit. They're not too bad. If you do a green one, though, that could be a bit dangerous, but they're pretty good. The thing with mackerels, they're really slimy, and you can fall over it pretty easy in your boat if you haven't got shoes on or something, or if you just got a polished floor sort of thing or whatever. It's very slippery. So 2 things is when you got the fish in, maybe dong on the head, whatever you want to do. We sell lots of dongers, and put it into the esky, cut its throat, get the hooks out, whatever. After that point, before you deploy your next lure, please just clean the floor up, because that's when people really slide over. And there's always a gaff sticking around or something like that. We get some atrocious fishing injuries from our customers that tell us about it in the shop. So yeah, just be careful. So then drop the line straight back out again, rig up, drop straight back out. If you've got them pre-rig, like I said, they're in the cryovac, just get the next one out, bait out. Keep your bait in a little esky and keep it cool. Don't sit up on top of the bait tray. They don't like that. Okay. Any other questions on that at all? All good?
Where do you run the barrel sinker, Dougie? Did you say
Just right above the snap. I run it close. Like there are guys that do lead lines and they're sitting like 6 metres above the bait and that sort of stuff. I still catch fish doing it the other way, just running straight to it. I find it's a bit of a hindrance if you've got another snap further the line or a swivel. You've got to manhandle it from 6 or 8 metres out to the boat, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a bit awkward. Yeah. Anyway, see what works best for you. Yeah. But that's a bit of a down rig. It pops out of the weight and there's no weight on there. see if you're fighting it. There is another technique I did see the other day, which is really clever. I haven't tried it yet because I've seen the sort of similar style. It's going to take just 1 second, nearly. But what it was, sorry for the guys at the back here, but you know I'll pass this around. I think I brought something to show you guys. This type of swivel, which is what we use on deep drop rigs, that's swivel on a swivel, if that makes sense. Thank you. So what it is that's your leader, your wire, and then you have one of those three-way swivels that are like that sort of thing, with another swivel on the swivel. Does that make sense? A swivel on a swivel. That spins around the barrel. Okay, and that's got another ring on it. So what the guy did was he put a split ring onto here, and then on that split ring he put a short shank hook like so. Right, and then on this rig here, there's a couple of different ways you can do it. You can put on a stinger, which is like a single strand wire with a treble on it. Okay, or you can put the same systems we had before, this type of thing on there, these things. Okay, so that's like, imagine that changing. So hook, 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 and that's split ringed onto there. And actually that hook there's a lot shorter than what. This is short, like a live bait hook sort of thing. And these hooks here are different as well. So how it sits is on the fish. This actually goes up. I've done that wrong, haven't I? Sorry. I think you get the idea of it though. So on this swivel on a swivel, that'll sit back this way. Another ring on there, and then the rig, if that makes sense. And that goes through the front of the fish like so. Okay. And then it sits on here like this. Like that system. So it's really simple. But getting back to what I think the guy was saying before about how far you put your sinker up, this guy had a little wire trace here, a little swivel here, and then he had a long mono here, and his line had a, I think it was actually a big ring, which is a little weird there. He had his sinker off that one there, and he had a different thing. It's like a snapper lead with the aisle on the top, and it was hanging down like that. But anyhow, it's a different rig. Got to try it. Something different.
And you don't need to run the nose cones or anything like
No, that's what I'm getting at. You just pin it with the little hook, little live bait hook, like a 2030. Very short, very short. So the other hook sits up behind it. But I just imagine it'd be very quick to put a bait on. That's what I'm getting at. Okay. So that's mackerel. That's the Spanish mackerel side. The only thing I haven't talked about is spinning lures for Spanish mackerel, but Stu wants to do that, so I'll let him do that. Okay, because he can spin metals for Spanish and stick baits. I'll let him do that. Okay, any other questions on Spanish mackerel at all? Everyone's good? Cool. Spotted mackerel. Okay, spotties. We're going to talk about trolling for spotties. So this is, actually, just before I go there is the new, so this is the rig we sell lots of, okay? It's the Reaper rig. Okay, which is a great spotty rig. It does do a bigger version, but it's not pre-rigged, so you need to put a ring on the back of it and Exhibit A or whatever behind it. I'll pass this around. It's a big bad fellow here. Look, they're about some price. I don't know what. I don't know what they are. I think they're around $30 or something after you discount.
I have a pre-rigged one for about 25.
Yeah, that's that one. Correct. Yeah. Oh, this is a different head to these normal heads. This is the big head. You see it comes around. It's huge.
Do you use gar in it as well?
You can use gar on this as well, yeah. But slimies are really good in here. Really good. But garies are fine. Yeah. So what the Reaper rig is, it's the same as we were talking about before, but it has a pinning system. So I'm going to rig one up for you real quick. So these will work on Spanish as well, and definitely Spotty. But they don't use a gang hook system, they use Trebles. Has anyone used these before?
Yeah.
And have you caught fish on yet? Not yet? You will. You will. You will. Oh, did you? Oh, wow.
I caught a rock.
You got a rock
Yeah. First time I used it, caught a rock and lost it.
and lost it at the boat?
Yeah. No.
Sorry. No, that's not good, mate, but anyhow. Rocks do fight, I've caught a few of those. Okay, hardest part's getting them out of the box. So, how the Reaper rig works, the pink thing is just there for show. It obviously does attract fish. The trace, again, not too long, reasonably short. Pink doesn't do anything, it doesn't slide over, it just sits on the front end, just does its colour thing. This is what's called a Reaper rig, because it looks like the Grim Reaper's hook. And what you do, you don't put any hooks in yet, you put the fish in here, which I'm going to do now. We're going to use a pulley, about the same size. I've run out of towel. Maybe a bit stinky as a towel. They've got to be diving for the tap to wash their hands. Oh, oh, there's, okay. There's something else done that. Nice of it. Get rid of those used ones. Thank you. So what you do, so little slimies are fantastic. So if you go out and catch a heap of live bait, slimies or yakkers, particularly slimies, don't dice them, don't freeze them. If you can cry back them, even better. So what we do is we just put the head of the fish, with that little Reaper pin up, into the inside there like so. Like as far as you'll go up. Then that little Reaper thing's going to go down and through his body. And he's now in there. That's it. Simple as that. The first hook, just pin it. Sit it in the belly like so. The second hook, you can go, I always like to go straight, but you can go sideways if you want. But that's pretty well how it works. And that's it. It's so quick. Does that make sense? If you've got a bigger bait, like a bigger slime, like so size, I'd put that hook through the side of him, not under him. But you guys do what you want to do. We sell lots of these things and they all seem to work. Thank you.
How far behind boat do you pull those buggies?
A fair way. So, like I said before, Spanish I might go up to 80 metres, but 60 or 40. With Spotties, I do go 80 metres. And when they're a little bit finicky, I'll even go further if I can. Like 100 metres back, like a long way back from here to the driveway, so, which is a long way. Why do I do that? Because I just find they're sometimes a little bit timid, and they just like it when it's in clean water. There's no boat wake, there's nothing, it's just clean water, and it's swimming along clean water. They really like that. So that's the Reaper rig. The other rig, which is the rig you got in your bag, which is really good for pillies as well. These pillies aren't the biggest pillies. The best pillies at the moment we're getting, I believe it or not, in the blocks, which is not normal. So the block pillies are crap, but at the moment they're good, and the ones in the boxes in the 4 kilos not too bad, but the bags, the 1 kilo bags, are not as good. Okay. So this is exactly the same deal as that gar with the pilly. Does that make sense? Do you want me to put one on, or you saw the gar going, but just up through, you got to just work it out where the first one goes in. If it's too big, start there on that one. 1, 2, 3, up through the chin, cone down, hold the pin, screw it up, slide that down, lock it in, and throw it outside the boat. When you deploy your baits, one thing I should say too, don't cast it, put it in gently. You want that to stay intact in the water as you put it down. You don't want it to go up like that and then work its way back down again. It doesn't work too good. Sometimes it gets tangled up or whatever it might be. So have it all nice and neat and then drop it in the water. Make sure the legs are nice and neat. And then drop it in the water, and the momentum of the boat going 1 knot forward will drop it down. Now, what I didn't say before, because we're trolling lures, we're going to troll on baits. Baits are a little bit different. So when you're trolling baits, and we're back on the sounder again. So that's the marks on your sounder, and we're trawling around in this fashion, like this way, doing doing anti-clockwise. I didn't tell you this either. This is really weird, and you need to know on the day. So some days they do not want you to go anti-clockwise; they want you to go clockwise, uphill instead of downhill. Are you going uphill or anti-clockwise? Sorry, downhill. So, don't know why that is. So if you go that way, you'll get clockwise, you'll get fish. And if you go the other way around first and don't get a bite, you think, well, I know there's fish here, there's fish on the sounder. Hang on, I'll just do a bit of a loop around and I'll try to go back over what I just went over the other way. And next minute, this is the way it is. Try it. But getting back to what I was saying before, with those spots there, with that bottom, it's zoomed in now. Unusual reef. And we're looking between 20 and 40, 30, let's say. 5 metre pinnacle, that's a pretty good one. And we've got some fish on here, maybe those ones up higher again, a couple here. So when I'm trawling along and I'm coming up to this mark here, which is here, and my boat's about here, maybe 40 metres from it, I'll slow right down. Okay, it depends on if there's going into the wind, it's a bit hard, but if you go with the wind, it's easy. And then when I get to about here, and just past it, I actually pull my motor into neutral right there. And I let my lines sink down, should I sit up here, sink down, for maybe 10 to 15 seconds, 20 max. And by the time I'm about here, which is 20 minutes past or 30 minutes past it, I know my lines are pretty well in the zone, then I'll just click it back into gear again, really slow. And my lines will all of a sudden go from free falling to ripping past that way. And if there's any fish around and they're a bit quiet, that's how you get the bites. Has anyone tried that before? No? Has anyone ever, thanks mate, has anyone ever done like when you're going on straight and you do a turn, you get a strike on the turn? Has anyone had that happen yet at all? You guys don't fish.
We don't catch them.
Okay. When you turn, it's the same scenario. So when you turn, you got your lines back 80 metres and you do a bit of a turn like this. Your lines for a second while it's a bit like when it's never been on a tube behind a boat. And when you turn, you slow down, you nearly sink, and all of a sudden you get ripped out of it, right? It's the same scenario. So when you're turning with your baits, they sink down for just a little bit, and then the boat pulls up onto the line again, and they get pulled up fast. You get a lot of hits on that point of your trolling. And it's the same scenario when we're doing here, and I come up this point here, and I want to put it neutral, and they sink down, I take off again, and they come all of a sudden ripping up through it, and it's like, that's how you get them, especially spotties. They love it. Okay. Yeah. Try it. Good. Remember all these little things, please. Okay, so we've done the Reaper rig. You know the other rig, how it works. So that's trawling for spotties. So it's just round and around the merry-go-round. You just keep going around until you work out the way they want to bite. And then I find with spotties, they really like rainy days. Okay, I don't know what it is. There's not many boats out there. That's probably one good thing. And it's pouring down rain, and I've caught so many mackerel pouring down rain. Don't know why. Maybe I think it's bait fish on the surface.
So that scenario there, Dougie, that
Yeah.
goes through, that's the towing depots?
Yes, mate.
Not,
Correct.
Not hard boys.
Not hard. Oh well, hard body's going to be the same situation, but you don't change your speed. Just keep going. But you will get sometimes hit on a turn on a hard body too. Same deal, they slow down a little bit, then they reap off again. And same for marlin troll, if you're a troll for marlin or dolphin fish, a lot of times on the turn.
And Dougie, what is your preference on the type of rig that you end up choosing on the day out?
Like garfish, probably number one for doing Spanish.
I'm talking the actual type of rig that you use on the bait.
Oh,
So
on the bait? Oh,
you make
okay.
the reaper
Look,
and walk out.
Previously, look, I learned this from pros years ago, right?
Yeah.
Those with the lumo or the pink skirt, there's pink and there's pink, right? That's the right colour pink. That's a real good colour pink.
Yeah.
Okay, it's like iridescent pink. But I've caught them on all colours. I caught them on, black. I caught them on brown. I caught them on every colour you can think of. So, but seems to be lumo and pink are probably the two best sellers we sell and work the best. Perhaps white's pretty good too. White and red's good. There's a lot of different colours that work well.
Comparatively, would you say that the reaper rig works just as well as the other rigs?
Look, it does. We've never had something that's had a bib on it to make it swim, so it actually swims, right?
Yeah.
So the bib makes it go like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely works, 100%. Yeah. If I had a rig out, I'd have one reaper.
Yeah.
My Old Faithful, which would be sitting the furthest back.
Yeah.
And I'd probably have two of those out and maybe one or two reapers. Yeah, that'd be my go at the moment, I think.
Okay.
That's not using live bait.
And with the reapers, it's the same speed, yeah?
Same speed, yeah, just 1-2 knots. You can go a bit faster if you want, but you can't really control the other baits faster. Yeah. So, but it won't get any deeper. I'll just do a bit more tighter action. Yeah. Okay, any questions on the trolling? I'm just going to quickly do float lining, then I'm going to. Actually, it was one other thing for trolling. Live baiting. So, does anyone ever troll live baits at all?
Yes.
You have? Okay, I got finally got a yes. Good.
It wasn't me, actually.
Yeah, okay.
But
So,
I'm on the boat.
okay. So with the live bait rig, which works later in the season definitely, and will work all the time, but definitely later in the season, a rig is very simple. You can make these up yourself. It's a lot cheaper if you make it. The reason why rigs are a little expensive is we got to make them. But the rig is, as you see there, so there's that's tied up to the eye of the hook, and then off the eye of the hook's another little haywire twist with a treble on the back. Okay, and how it's rigged, very simple. I'll just use a pilly here and pass it around. A fresh bit of paper. Is you just put the first hook through his nostril, or you can go up and down. He's not going to stay in the water very long, so he'll get eaten. So if he dies from not breathing, it's going to be it won't last that long. So the hook here, you can put it on the bottom. I like to put it out the side, but you can do what you want to do. You can put it. You can't really put it sideways through it because will maybe twist. Okay, so try and keep it symmetrical. If that makes sense. But you can do. Let's get this with my glasses on again. Oh, there we go. Just like so. The secret is with a live bait is that piece of wire between there and there cannot be taut, or because it'll actually bend him and kink him, and then it'll die real quick, and it'll go around in circles in the water. It needs to be able to swim, so it needs a little bit of slack on that piece between the two hooks. Does that make sense? Yeah. It's as simple as that though. You just drop it out and hang on.
Would you put lights?
No, not with liveys. So with the liveys, they will chase them from the bottom to the top.
Yeah.
It's like next level.
Would you put them on a down rig?
You can put them down rig, definitely. I work really well on down riggers. Yeah, same rig though. Yep. So if I'm using the biggest slimy, like not as big as the one that went around, but in between, I'll run 2 trebles. So I run. There's actually 3 haywire twists on the first hook. Yeah, and they'll be a shorter, about maybe this long, and then one about that long, with the trebles on it. Yeah. Sorry, something.
And the speed of those will also be 1 or 2 knots?
Yeah, 1 or 2 knots again. Same deal. Yep. Exactly the same.
Doug, you said you did Reaper rigs at 1 to 2.
Yep.
That
3 to 4. Yeah, that's right. So I find 1 to 2s, they can get up 6 if you want.
Yeah,
But look, your bait's going to, pilly's going to fall apart. It'll have to be a fresh slimy to do that. Otherwise it'll, or maybe gar. Gars are pretty hardy. Yeah, 3 to 6 knots. So if you want to trawl with these things, you have to stick on that 1 to 2 knot system, and you have to let it fall down as well. But if you want to trawl just those only, yeah, you might get 3 knots. But I just find I get a lot more mackerel at about 1 to 2 knots. So yeah, I don't think there's any need to go faster, but I know they'll probably swim more action. Yeah. I only started using them last year at the end of the season, so but the weather came in pretty cruddy, so we didn't really get much chance to do it. We did help Al out in doing all this many years ago, but it's a great thing, fantastic. Just another rig I want to show you, which I missed. This is if you got a good bait, like a good slimy or whatever you got that's quite good quality, you can put it on something like that there, which is a bit bigger. So you're talking big bait like bonito or slimy that's fairly fresh, and trawl it at 4 knots or 6 knots. Really good for wahoo. And that's on quite heavy wire because of the wahoo. They work quite well as well. Just while we're on that side of things with lures, see these little things here, little things like that, or it's a bit messy here, guys. I made a mess. Anyhow, like that type of thing there. I'll pass this around. These little things here, you'll see guys down at Palm Beach and Mermaid, and they'll have their lines out. I'm talking like at least 100 metres. It's kind of a long way out. Their rods are fairly flat with the water too, by the way. They're trying to be in secret mode, but they'll drop their lines back about 80 to 100 metres or more, 120, and they'll be doing about 14 knots. Have you seen those guys down Palm Beach all doing that? They're just ripping around on the plane, everywhere. They're using little tiny things like that with just a 5.0 or 6.0 tarpon or whatever inside it. Short bit of wire, and they're running 50-pound lines. So that speed when it hits, it's quite aggressive, right? Even though it's only the lure, but it'll pop most 30-pound lines. So you've got to run sort of 50-pound mono or 65-pound braid to make it work, and run that on about a short wire leader, then about sort of 60-pound mono above it for maybe 3 or 4 metres. And it's just high-speed trawling for spotties. You get Spanish on it too, but mainly spotties. But they will take a lure at 14 to 15 knots, which is quite fast. Fuel burning speed. Burns a lot of fuel at that speed. But it works really well. So that's, I'm trying to work out what these guys are using. That's what they're sort of using. Used to be a little thing from Divers, a little pearl head with a little pink skirt like that on. And that's what they used to use, but you can't get those anymore. Okay, tell you a little secrets, guys. You can use stuff like that too for trawling all the weights before. We talked about all the baits before. Again, it's got a sort of semi-half okay inside, which can get the nose cone up in there. Got the wrong price on that one, but they'll work okay as well. I think that's about all I want to tell you. When you're using your treble hooks, the smallest treble hook to use if you're going to rig up your own rigs on lives and whatever, size 4 is the smallest, and size 1.0 is the largest. Okay? 42110, depending on the size of the bait. Wire, anywhere, as I said earlier, sort of 44 pound or 58 pound single strand goes, it sort of goes up in like 12s or 15, so 44, 58, 69, 88, 105. So anything in that sizing is okay, 44 to 105. There are other things you can use for the spotties, which I'll pass around as well. These are new from Japan, and I reckon they're going to work really well. Find it. Oh, this is one of them. So that rig we showed before, well, it's not gone, but the one with the 3-way swivel, if you were to run that on the swivel, so it sits under its chin, does that make sense? It's a weight and it's metallic. They might bite it, but they won't break it off or and then run your gang hook behind it, above it, sorry, on the other swivel, I reckon that would work instead of using like a crimp on lead. And same with that fellow too. Something different. The Japanese always ahead of us. The other thing. Sorry folks, a bit unorganised. Let's go through and try and find it. Look, I'm really sorry guys, I can't find it. It is here somewhere. When Stewie's talking to you, I'll look. Okay, any questions so far? Next thing, float line for mackerel. So when you float line for mackerel, that's when you're at anchor or drifting and you're using half pillies for bait, or cut up cube pillies or cube slimies. They all work quite well. Is anyone float line for mackerel? Some of you must have done that. Yeah. And did you catch fish?
Yep. Yeah.
Thanks for doing that, mate. Again. Here's one. So it's quite good fun, and the beauty is you can use light gear like this type of thing, which is the same as you use for spinning the lures for mackerel. So something around about a 4,000 or 5,000 reel. Bait runners are really good, in about 4,000 to 8,000 size. Braid, 20, 30 pound, leader about 30 to 40 pound. And our rig is very small and very compact. And also here somewhere. You're going to be sabotaged. It is here, just got to find it. Okay, here we go. So, the wire we're using is around about 20 pounds, maximum 30, lightest about 16. Now, we do a 2-hook rig, which we make up in store here, and we do a 1-hook rig, so a single hook rig. The 2-hook rigs definitely outfish the single hook rig in hookup rate. Sorry, I've got to get this out. Cool that. I think Stewie's definitely sabotaged me tonight. So these are little Snell hooks. So, ouch, they're sharp. So they're only 2-0 hooks, they're tiny, can you see that? And that's what you want though. And the wire on this is about 20 pound or 27. Very small black swivel on the top, a little crane swivel. And we're going to rig up a pilly with that on 2 hooks. And that's our rig, very short, and I got a little, just a bite trace, can't bite you off. And what we do is we get a pilchard. Now I need to use this stuff again. Scissors, right here. Scissors are good for cutting baits. They don't, if you put it on the board and cut the knife, if your knife's not sharp, it flattens the bait out, bruises it, doesn't look as presentable. Scissors are very sharp, they're straight through. So that rig, which is right here. So all we do is, again, just measure it out. So the last hook is going to go, I like to go from the top down. I find if I go from that way up, sometimes it doesn't go through as easy. Just like so. Bit moshed up this one. And then just, you can go top, bottom, doesn't matter. But just hide that hook inside the body. And just like so. So it hangs down straight. The reason it needs to be straight and not bent is because a lot of the time you're at anchor, and if there's a bit of current, which it quite often is, it'll spin in the water. If anything's spinning in the water, they don't want to know about it. It's got to be just sitting there in the current. And that's how it is. And I'll just rig up a single one as well. I've got one here that is. Do you all know how to snell lines at all? Because you know you can get wire that's tieable. So anything that's decent quality under 30 pounds is pretty well tieable. And the more higher quality it is, the better it is. The easier it is to tie. So you can do a snell knot, you can do a loop knot like you do on your lures. It all ties off really easy, which is what we do. They're just little loop knots that we use for tying lures. Where's that tail piece gone? Do you all know what bait mate is? That sort of stretchy white stuff?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't bring it. I'm glad you don't have. I didn't bring any down with me, but we're going to put the hook through about here because that's very hard there. Put it through like so. Then we're going to pull the whole hook out without damaging the fish, that is. Put my glasses back on to do this. That's it. And then we're just going to pop the hook pretty well about there. So the length of the hook is shorter than the length of where I went through. Does that make sense? That's really important too. Like so. Then what we're going to do now is, I don't have any bait mate here, but Ms. Sarko, if you're watching, can you get me some stretchy bait mate, please? And the bait mate will actually wrap around the top there and keep that again intact, nice and straight. If you were to do it like that, well, you could put a half hitch in this to put it around, but it's going to stuff up your wire. Second thing is, if you just put it out the water like that, it's going to spin. You need to have that tight up against it like so. So we'll just wait for Ms. Sarko to come back on that one. And we'll do it, then I'll send them both around and show you how it looks. Now, when we're float line for mackerel, we've gone over, we've seen the mackerel on here, and that's that spot there. Now, you need to know how fast your boat drifts to how deep the water is. Does that make sense? So if you're in, say, 18 metres or whatever down at Palmy, I don't know, Mermaid or whatever, and the wind's blowing at 15 knots, so there's a little bit of white capped every now and then. You need to just do a blind drift, as I always say, do a blind drift. So you just pull up neutral and see how long it drifts. Here comes Stewie with my bait mate. Thank you, Stewie. Modern technology. Thank you, Stewie. So this comes in little cobs or like this style here that Stewie's got. I'm going to wrap this one around here. So I'll finish this off first, then I'll pass it around while we're talking.
Just do it outside of it.
That's fine. So it's very tiny and very amazing. Oops. And you just tie it around. And then just pull it, and it just sort of locks in. It's really weird how it works. It did actually pop that across a bit. But that's how it looks. You won't even see it on there, I don't think. Sorry if you guys are a bit not used to blood, but if you're fishermen, you should be used to it. But that's how it looks. By the time it gets down the back, you guys have probably got the mutilated, pulled apart one. Sorry about that. Sorry. But anyhow, what I was saying before, work out your distance you're going to drift. So then you go up, and when you drop your anchor, please don't just throw your anchor out and go to the back of the boat and start fishing. Or if your mate throws it out and then goes back down the front of the cabin out the back, you've got to stay up there with it. And the guy that's in the boat driving, he needs to keep on the motor. So if you've got a bit of wind, you need to keep nudging the boat, keep the boat straight into the wind, and just drive forward a little bit, and then just let it pull back and drive forward a little bit. And the guy that's on the anchor, that threw the anchor out, must have the weight of the anchor the whole time while it's going down through his hand. Okay, make sure there's no hooks in the rope. But what happens there is if you don't, the chain will overtake the anchor, and it'll get all ski-whiffed. And it hits the bottom, it'll be pulling backwards or it'll never hook in. And you have to do the whole thing again. So one guy at the front takes the weight of the anchor as it's going down, so the chain's perfect and the anchor's at the bottom as it's going through his hand. Not too tight, just right. And the other guy's nudging the boat, keeping it straight. But within 2 minutes, you're all done, so everything's perfect. It's hooked in, it's really good. So just try that technique next time, please. Okay, once you're anchored up and we're sitting, so the wind's blowing this way, southeast, that's south, north, west, southeast. So we drop the anchor about here, we're sitting back and we're sitting right near this thing here. And what you want to do is, first thing you do, if you've got southeast, the trouble with southeast winds is very prevalent on the Gold Coast. And most of the time the current's going south, so wind against current, painful. So when you throw your lines out, they're all going to go back that way, opposite to what the boat's facing, and you can't really do much about it. If there's not too much current, it may not be too bad, but if you've got a little bit, and the wind will probably overtake the line and keep it at the back of the boat. But if it's a ripping current and a ripping wind the other way, you need to probably put about a 0 or size 1 ball sink onto your line, just above your swivel, just to try and keep it a bit vertical. Does that make sense? Okay, do you sit on the bottom or do you sit on the top? Thanks, Masako. You need to work that out. The red rock cod will drive you crazy on the bottom, but that's sometimes the mackerel down on the bottom. So you've got to work that out. So I drop my lines at different depths until I find out which one's getting the most hits. I don't use any foam. One, I don't like the foam in the water. Two is, I find that you don't get as many hits that way. Having it natural is the best. So you cast if there's not much current, just cast out, one out 40 feet, one out 30, one out 20. Keep them close. And just strip off a little bit of line so it hits the water so it falls naturally down the water column. And you must keep dicing up pilchards. So I'll cut one pilly into about 10 pieces. Or if they're favouring the head section, you work out 2, they might not want the tail section, they want the head section. And other times they want the tail section. It depends on the day. So what you do then is you'll cut up the tail section if it's not working and keep the head section. And that becomes the dice piece. So the tail section will cut about 5 pieces, the whole pilly about 10. And you just about, as the last piece dissipates, you've thrown another 3 or 4 bits in the water. Just keep throwing it in and throwing it in. And as soon as you do that, your lines will just keep going and going and going. But they do a bit of a circle, don't they, Stu? They go around a big circle, and those guys there go off, they'll go off, they'll go off. The next minute you'll go off, and that's how it works. But if you can keep them there with the burley, they'll sometimes stay with you a lot longer. Any questions on that at all? No?
Do you find it, like with the tail section, actually cutting the tip of the tail off?
Yeah, so it does work as that does work as well, and not a bad call. Only if there's no current, I don't do that. But if there's current, sometimes I will do that. Yes, correct. And still use the bait, mate. Yeah, definitely, mate.
Like rather than anchoring, spot locking with an electric, do you think the electric puts them off?
Look, I don't think so. And it's definitely good because you can sort of putt around a bit closer to your mate that's getting them just over there. Sneak up on him sort of thing. I've done that before. But look, I don't think it makes a big lot of difference, no. But the current's strong, it's harder. It's a little bit harder. Sometimes if the current's real strong, you've got to drift. Just keep going up and down, doing drifts through everyone. Just got to get your trajectory right. Yeah.
The only thing with an electric as well, if you're using it to spot lock, sometimes it blows your burley out a lot quicker. Because you've got that top current from the prop and stuff still pushing it out. So it'll either bring the fish up a bit further, but it generally washes them away quicker as well.
Yeah, try and see where your lines are in the water and work out, okay, I guess it's around about 12 feet down or 4 metres down, and just drop it a bit on the side and just see if it goes quite fast and stays on the top, you'll need to throw the bird out in front of the boat. Yeah. And if it's sinking nicely, then that's about where you throw it, you know. Yeah, there's a lot of things you've got to get into it, guys. But every little bit makes it easy for you. Okay. Any questions on that at all?
So with the bait, mate, that's only if you're just using a single hook?
It is, because on the double hook, you're right, mate. I pin the tail right up to the tail there. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, just single. Sorry, Ed?
Does the current change much with the incoming wave down the time?
No, it runs south at any tide. we did have for like 2 months over Christmas, which is unheard of at that time of the year. We had a northerly current, you know, uphill current on most of the reefs, and then it sort of slowed down before last week, and then it come in the roaring south one now. So the current we normally have, which brings a lot of fish down to us, has finally arrived. So that's why we're saying after southerly, I reckon they're going to be on. Yeah. So we've got to wait for the southerly to dissipate and the swell. Yeah. Any questions on the float lining? I'm going to quickly put Stewie on because we're running out of time, as we thought we would. Sorry, Stewie.
That's right. So I think, do you want to go through spinning stuff and all that?
Yeah, just spinning.
Have you done stick bait?
No, stick baits. I'll let you do that too.
So general casting in general, like, I mean, this style is really good float line and having liveys out the back and things like that, but there's days where this is a little bit slow. but the fish are there. They might just not react to that bait wafting down, or you might have current problems and things like that. That's where spinning can be really, really effective. So we use quite light combos for them. So Dougie, have you got stuff over there for that? Yep. So typically, like I use quite light, so 2.5 to 3,000 type size reels. Braid's very thin these days, so we can still get 300 metres at 20 pound on reels like this. And it's basically just a heavier flatty combo. We're casting metals around about, say, that 20 to 30 gram size that are quite small but compact. So being smaller and a little bit more weighty, if they're feeding on that small bait on the day, or your little bits of burley and stuff like that, it's a bit more natural. It looks a bit more what's supposed to be there. But the weight's just going to allow you to fish it a bit quicker and cast a bit further. So cover a bit more ground with what you're spinning. As I said, we're using, say, 20 to 30 pound braid because it is quite thin, and just light, say, 20 to 25 pound leader, and a bite trace, which I think Dougie's trying to find.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. 40. I've had a bit of bad luck with the stuff feeds last week.
Yeah. Anyway, we use like a little 6-inch wire trace.
Oh, I've got that here.
Or a little 4-inch wire trace. And it just really helps because a lot of the time when we are spinning, we're throwing either up current or down current, depending on where your burley is and stuff like that. If the boat just up in front of you has a really good burley trail, throw to their transfer and let it sink down. Fish that before you fish your own, you know. Then you're coming back with the current, it all looks a little bit more natural. But the problem is a lot of the time these mackerel do pick it up on the sink. So having this little bite trace like Dougie's going to show.
Yeah, so Helco do one, and the Japanese do really nice limpy ones that get a lot more action in the lures. Pass those around.
Yeah.
They're only very short, Stewie said, a bite trace. They do prevent a lot of the bite off, so Stewie said, when it's fluttering down to the bottom, towards the bottom. Look, on a bad day mackerel, on a great day mackerel fishing, we catch like 30 spotties on spinning. Don't keep 30, of course. We'll probably lose maybe 5 or 6 lures each.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we have a fast session.
Yeah.
It's an absolute fun time.
Yeah, it's pretty red hot when it is on. It depends on where those fish are holding as well as to how many you lose and the style or the approach that you take to it. So a couple of years ago, they were really, really good up off the pin. You drive up there just outside of the green zone and there's like football fields of them on the surface. You could just pull up, turn your motor off, throw your little lures, let it sink a little bit, and then just a medium wind in and catch as many as you want all day. Didn't really matter. The last 2 years have probably been a little bit more quiet. There are a couple of weeks that they do just turn up out of nowhere, the bait turns up, the fish rock up, and you can have those amazing sessions. But in general, most of our spotty spinning has been done down Mermaid and Palmy, and it's a lot more traditional. So at either anchor while we are float lining or drifting through the boats or around the outskirts, throw your metal to where you're going to drift to, let it hit the bottom, and just a really medium to fast crank back with the occasional pause. You'll generally notice that they'll eat it on the pause. Yeah. Or just on that slow down period.
So how's your reaction, Stu? Like,
it's pretty quick. Yeah, so it depends on the reel, obviously.
Yeah.
The bigger reel, the slower I go, different retrieve
Yeah.
rate. But it is pretty steady, and I'll stop and then keep on going. I'll stop. When you stop, I think it allows that fish to kind of hone in on it and eat it. Or B, it sinks back down a little bit as well. So they're quite heavy little jigs. Yeah.
Do you want that line to be vertical or almost 45?
Probably 45. Yeah. Yeah.
Although it's saying that there's a couple of guys that are really good at it. We do a bit of it, but some guys are really good. Seeing down at Palmy especially, they'll just keep burling up, throwing billies in the water, and they drop the jigs down straight vertical to the bottom, and then just crank it flat chat to the top.
Jigging doesn't work, or does it?
Jigging does work, but the choppers, every time it flutters, they get bitten off.
Yeah.
So you got to run a wire about a bit longer, maybe 150 mil.
The problem
Works
is
very good.
your jig doesn't work as good with that wire because it's so rigid.
Yeah.
So that spinning style is probably the go. Yeah.
But sometimes I want the little baits like the first slot going around. This is the next slot, just slightly bit bigger, around that 50 gram size, and it's windy or whatever. Or a bit of current, they work a bit better than that stronger current. And then you can spin for Spanish too, Stu, yeah. So
Yeah.
we're just using a lot bigger size, like an oversized, like 80 grams, 70 grams, or 40 gram in like a spoon style like that. Okay.
So generally with this stuff, everything's just up the ante a little bit. So we're using a slightly heavier combo, bit bigger reels, bit heavier line, bit heavier leader, and bigger lures. Yeah, same type of thing, but
Yeah, probably using about 6 to 8,000 size reel. 5,000 minimum, but
yeah,
6
like
to 8.
that one too.
Ah, yeah, that's a 5 with that size. Oops.
Yeah.
Bit heavier. That's quite a bit heavier.
Yeah.
30-pound braid minimum.
Yep.
Yeah. So when I'm spinning, guys, I'll, as Stewie said, cast it out, let it sink down, and then just start crank and stop, crank and stop, crank and stop. That's the action sort of thing. And normally when you do that and stop and go, they're on there. They've hit it. And a lot of times I hit right next to the boat too. Another trick too is if you're out there and there's like just a normal Sunday, maybe 100 boats on the reef. You've got to really, if you've got good eyesight, really good to keep an eye on any little, like, if it's a crystal blue sky day, look for a bit of grey in the distance, which is generally birds, okay? And if they're a K away or half a K away from the pack of boats, sometimes the fish get a bit peed off of everything, and they'll just go out there and push the bait out that way, and you'll have it to yourself until everyone sees you. Then another old mate turns up and next minute. So, but you've got to be very vigilant and keep an eye out all the time for birds. If they're schooled up and tightly done, that's the go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any questions on this so far? That's good, isn't it? Yeah, good. It's a lot to take in, eh? Anything else you want to add on the spinning, Stu?
no, the only other thing is
stick
like
baits.
stick baits. I mean,
Yeah.
out here, not a heap of people do stick bait for them. Is it a spotty thing or a Spanish thing? Probably more focused towards Spanish. It is all a little bit heavier gear as well. So we're using like say PE3, say 50-pound braid or a thin 50, 6,000 reels, 7.5 to 8 foot rods. We're doing it properly, and we're casting like minnow or stick baity type thing. So slow sinking is quite good. Surface stuff works as well. The beauty about a slow sinking stick bait is you can fish it on the top or you can fish it down deep. So if you want it up higher, you just work it a little bit quicker, a bit more constant. You don't let it have that loose line to sink down. And then obviously with a floating one, that's all you can do. You can only fish that top section.
There's a few guys that specialise in it. A lot of guys down at 9 Mile do it. If you down 9 Mile, you see them doing it off Tweed Heads. 9 Mile Reef, that is, sorry. But out the front here, there's a couple of Japanese guys that are really good at it, and they get lots of Spanish. Yeah. And they're looking for the one single bird just hovering, and they just cast it in that direction and rip it back. Yeah, work it back. Yeah, give that a go. Any questions so far? That's that 8-ounce barrel sink I was trying to find. I knew I'd find it.
You had somewhere.
Yeah, that's right. I'll pass it around. Is there anything else, mate, when out that?
No, I don't think so.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, bait jigs. Just put your bait jigging, guys, and you're getting live baits or whatever. And it's definitely worth, when you anchor up on the reef and you're chasing spotties, to put out one livey for a Spanish or a wahoo, whatever, or a cobia. Everything jumps on it. So get your live bait and put one out and run it vertical away from the other lines, straight down the big 10 bull sinker, just to hold him in position. And he's down on the bottom, maybe one turn up, and set your drag right to the rod holder. Make sure you can get it out of the rod holder, and away you go. But with your bait jigs, we sell a lot of different bait jigs. We've got, I think, 60 different types down there. To start off at like packs of 3 that work out about $2 underneath, they're cheap. But at the end of the day, my go-to at the moment has been this type of red one. This sort of fella here. I'll pass this around. It's been really, really good. I just want to show you the bait jig rod. It's the other thing too. Has anyone used one of these things before? You have? They are like the saviour. Has anyone had to pull their bait jigs out of the carpet or out of the side of the boat, out of your skin or out of whatever? So this is internal, so it's inside of this thing. So that's the bait jig there, right? So when you drop it down, Obviously you hook up, and when you get the fish on, you just got to swing in and take the fish off, but then when you finish for the day, you just wind it up into the rod, like so, and stow it. It's really easy. A lot of people say, oh, it's too long. This one's actually quite thin compared to some of the other ones down there. Some are that thickness at the end. But they just work so well, and are so easy to use. And a secret of using it when you're getting bait, there's always secrets to everything, but when you drop it, you get most of your bait actually on the way down, not on the way up. So a lot of people just go straight to the bottom and start jiggling it. That does work, don't get me wrong, but it works a lot better if you work out, you got depth line on, always use a depth line on your bait jig rod. And if the fish are if the bait's at 20 metres and two colours are going out and you're into the zone now, at that point, as it's dropping down, you stop it, like that sort of thing. And it'll just load up, it'll go all loose before you can get to the bottom. And they're on there. So just try that technique next time.
You make it sound so simple.
It is simple. I did a video on it, you can watch it on YouTube. It is easy. Let's do a couple of tools of the trade. Bragging rights. Okay, this is a new thing out for weighing big fish. I'm hoping you guys are going to catch a 40 kilo Spanish. Another bragging right, 10-inch knife. You need a big knife for Spanish because they're quite deep, right? And these are skin. Split ring pliers. When you're crimping, if you're going to crimp your metal, which I suggest you learn to tie it or twist it with single strand, but if you do want to do heavier stuff, like make heavier rigs, get the crimps at a figure 8. So they're not just one single hole copper. They've got to be copper, can't be alloy. So the black ones. Get the ones that it's like that sort of shape there, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, and you put it that way, and you put it into the plier and crimp down on top of it like so, over the top. And on those, that's the standard type of plier, and you can get better ones that got smaller holes to crimp the little tiny ones with light wire. I think that was about it. Oh, just have that or a pair of bolt cutters in your boat, okay? Yeah, hook remover, because when you got trebles and you're spinning and you get pretty excited, your mates there, you don't look at him and you just cast and you hit him in the head, whatever. It does happen. They cut up to about a 5 or 8 out, I think. Pretty easy. So you can get it out. Because they're not going to leave the fish on the bite, right? Split ring pliers, another thing. It's just endless, guys, but that's the main stuff you need. Keep it the boat. Oh, has anyone used the cushions yet at all? After you caught like 20 spotties, it gets a bit sore.
For a long time, I skipped myself one way.
Yeah, no, they're good. That's the same sort of thing. And in wire, I just want to show you this last one quickly. In wire, tieable wire, if you're going to get good stuff that's easy to tie, this is the type of stuff you want to use.
I've tried to do wire. I thought it was the first time I've heard there's actually special wire.
Yeah, there's special wire
Because
for
I've
it.
seen the rigs that are like with the hook and that.
Yeah.
I've tried.
It's got to be quite soft wire, and this is quite thin for its size too. This is actually 20 pound, but it's very thin for 20 pound. And then there's stuff they use on hair tail net that's totally tied. We can see the pictures on there. Oh, I'll pass that around as well too. And I think that's about all I need to tell you guys. You just got to go and do it. Yeah. Oh, Sam's. These are quite, that's another type of rig you can get to that pins up under the head, and you put a rubber band around the head and lock it in position, and the gang hooks are on the back to go up the belly. They come in different sizes as well. I think that was about it. But the main thing is, guys, concentrate on hard bodies for now, for a little bit, and then switch to your baits, slow troll baits, and then switch to liveys by about April. Look, and sometimes the Spanish mackerel are here till July, August. And last year I think I've caught till July. Yeah. Actually, even I think some even caught in August at the start of the season, nearly August, September maybe. Anyhow, if the water doesn't get too cold, stays around that 18 or 19 minimum, you might get them. But 20, 21, definitely you'll still get mackerel. Okay, they seem to come later when the water's. They don't come when it's 21. They come when it's like 24, 25, and then they're happy to hang around till it's 21. They go down south. They go down as far as probably Southwest Rocks, and as the water starts to get too cold, they're pushed back up north again. That's how it works. And that's when we get those big ones winter big winter
Do
mackerel.
you know, do they come down to spawn, or are they just trying to get out of the really hot water?
I think they're trying to get out of really hot water, and probably to spawn as well. I don't know if they spawn all the way. That's a good question.
I've never really caught one out here with roe.
No, I don't think I have
Yeah.
either.
Caught them up north with it, but
Yeah.
not out here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have to check that next time. Remember the limit, they have increased it, but it's still only one per person. So, but a maximum of 4 per boat.
Yeah.
So you have 10 guys in the boat, you're going to keep 4. That's Spanish mackerel. So if you've got 2 guys in the boat, it's 2 mackerel, 1 guy in the boat's 1 mackerel, 3. But once you get to 4, that's it. Spotted mackerel is still 5 per person. Okay. And the minimum size is 65? 60, I think. On 75 in Spanish, 60 on spotties, I think. Any questions at all? Okay, you guys are all G'd up, ready to roll. And next time I ever see you again, there'll be a lot more show of hands and photos. Because you're going to be catching them. Okay, Stewie, we're going to do the draw now. So we've got a few special combos too, let you know that the Tilly 25 and 20, so the 25's got 50 pound line, the 20's got 15 kilo. Okay, what have we got, Stewie? So first one tonight is about $500 worth of lures and gear, which goes to, so it's a bit over $1,500 worth of gear tonight. Lucky 11.
Excellent.
Well done, matey. Good on you, mate. Thank you. Well done. Okay. Number 2. Still about $300 worth. We're going to draw this one out now. $30 down the back somewhere. Well done, Anthony. My best mate. Truthful.